All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 8:59 p.m. on the 23rd of May, 2022. We've got a new tornado warning for a storm with a history of producing tornadoes. This tornado warning will include population centers, so we'll go ahead and resume our tornado coverage. This is a tornado warning for Hockley County until 9:30 p.m. This is going to be for a possible tornado about 7 miles northwest of the city of Levelland, moving east at about 15 miles an hour. This tornado warning will include the city of Levelland, so those of you in Levelland, go ahead and take your tornado safety precautions. That'll be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This thunderstorm has a history of producing tornadoes over the last few hours, and most of the tornadoes as of late have been completely and utterly wrapped in rain and dust. So you're not going to see the buggers. This thunderstorm also is capable of producing golf ball to baseball size hail and strong winds over 70 miles an hour that will kick up a plethora of dust, resulting in even lower visibilities. I'm going to adjust this monitor so y'all are going to take a bit of an earthquake with me, but that's okay. We all like an earthquake once in a while. So this possible tornado, again, is located about 7 miles west-northwest of the city of Levelland. We'll switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. I'll adjust some of the de-aliasing settings so we can get a bit of a better look at what we have going on. But again, we've got a circulation about 7 miles or so northwest of Levelland. This storm is generally moving off to the southeast. This is the same storm that produced a large tornado about, an hour and a half ago now, north of the city of Morton, further to the west-northwest. We haven't had any recent reports from this storm, but we still have a strong mid-level mesocyclone and a decent enough signature that the Weather Service in Lubbock has elected to issue a tornado warning that does include this city of Levelland in central Hockley County in West Texas. Again, this is going to be coming up on Highway 114, about 2 miles west of the city of Lubbock. Or excuse me, 2 miles, 2 cities, 2 counties west of the city of Lubbock. And the storm itself is only moving at about 15 miles an hour. So while it technically may try to say hello to Lubbock, it would still be like 3 hours from now. So we'll see if it's still around. While we're here, we'll go ahead and take a look at some other thunderstorm activity we have going on this evening. Check this out. We got rain in the Texas Panhandle. When's the last time we had this much rain in the Panhandle? It's been quite a long time. We've got a strong storm on Highway 15 west of Groover, east of Stratford. That might have some hail with it, but otherwise lots of gusty winds up to 50 miles an hour. Potential for lightning strikes that could cause some wildfires in areas that don't get a good dose of rain. Small hail, gusty winds, and some heavy rain. We've got a severe storm coming on up towards the city of Dimmitt. This is two severe storms, really. Storms moving east at about 25 miles an hour. That includes Dimmitt and Easter. And these storms are capable of producing hail up to the size of ping pong balls and wind gusts over 70 miles an hour. And again, these will be moving across Highway 385 into Dimmitt and Easter over the next 30 minutes. We note some other storms in eastern New Mexico that'll be moving into places like Muleshoe up to Friona over the next hour, capable of producing some strong outflow winds, maybe some large hail as well. Heading back down south into West Texas, we've got the only tornado warning in the state at the moment. This is a storm capable of producing baseball-size hail. Strong winds over 70 miles an hour, and this storm also has a history of producing tornadoes and still is showing enough mid-level rotation that the Weather Service has elected to issue a tornado warning for central Hockley County. That does include the city of Levelland. So this will be until 9:30 p.m. Central Time. It includes Levelland. Hail could be up to the size of baseballs, along with wind gusts over 70 miles an hour, a lot of lightning, heavy rain that could cause flooding. Let's go ahead and head on south into South Texas. We've got some storms heading on into the Rio Grande Valley this evening. Pretty good little cluster of thunderstorms, in fact. These storms are east of Zabeta now, generally over rural areas at this point, but could end up causing some flooding issues later on across the Rio Grande Valley. We know this large cluster of storms is capable of producing winds over 60 miles an hour, the potential for hail up to the size of tennis balls. and of course some very heavy rainfall. These storms are generally only moving at about 20 to 25 miles an hour to the east-southeast. So as they start to turn a little more southeast this evening, we could start to see them moving closer towards areas like Edinburgh, McAllen, Reynosa, eventually maybe even Raymondville to Harlingen. So we'll keep an eye on that this evening. These late night thunderstorm clusters are certainly not a rarity in the Rio Grande Valley as we encroach on the early summer months. We'll head on up Interstate 35. We've got a small severe storm just east of the interstate, moving northeast at about 20 miles an hour. That could have some ping pong ball size hail on Highway 44 as it moves north at about 20 miles an hour. And as we zoom further north, we've got sub-severe storms currently across portions of central Texas, the coastal plains. We note a little storm that is showing some signs of maybe some pea to dime size hail. That'll be crossing over Highway 29 east of Bertram and west of Highway 183, moving to the north at about 30 miles per hour. Heading on up into North Texas, you can see we've got precipitation in the form of rain falling across Tarrant County, moving up into Denton County, Johnson County. None of this is severe, maybe a couple of cloud to ground lightning strikes, but otherwise beneficial rains, nothing to write home about in terms of severe weather problems this evening in North Texas. Storm approaching the city of Levelland could have a possible rain-wrapped tornado. The potential for winds over 60 to 70 miles an hour. And again, we could also have hail up to the size of baseballs. Let me see if we can clean up this de-aliasing a bit. You can see radar is detecting some winds over 70 miles an hour. Whether this is in association to a tornadic circulation or just very strong outflow winds from the thunderstorm, it's definitely going to be enough to click up a lot of blowing dust. That'll reduce visibility and cause some wind damage. And we do know we still do have a strong mid-level mesocyclone associated with this thunderstorm as it moves east-southeast about 15 miles an hour. In fact, this honestly I think might be what we're trying to see right here. It almost looks like a good rear flank downdraft coming on into the back side of this thunderstorm. It's not your typical supercellular evolution, but given the relatively low shear we have today, we're bound to see some weird thunderstorm behavior. So, again, possibility of a tornado now. This is probably still about 7 miles northwest of Levelland. Let's just pop on the magical super-duper distance tool, and we'll see how far this is. About, 7 miles, give or take, from west side of Levelland. And again, if there's a tornado there, it is completely and utterly wrapped in blinding, rotating heavy rainfall. So do not anticipate being able to see this. Those of you in Levelland to just south of Witherall on Highway 385, you're going to be in this tornado warning, the potential for a rain-wrapped tornado, along with damaging winds and damaging hail. This thunderstorm itself actually seems to have a decent hail core ahead of the possible tornado, with the hail core about to move into Levelland, crossing over 385 now, just south of Witherall. And then if there's a tornado, it may be on the backside of the thunderstorm, associated with almost what looks like a little mesovortex type circulation here. It's not your typical supercellular location for a tornado, but that's where we're seeing the strong indications of rotation. So if there's something there, that might be where it is, on the backside of the thunderstorm there. Definitely not your typical supercellular structure for a tornadic circulation, but Mama Nature don't really care what we think things should look like. Sometimes you just get things to spin on up. So that's what we have going on with that storm. We've got a hailer about to move on into the city of Dimmitt over the next 30 to 45 minutes. These storms coming up on Dimmitt, moving east at about 25 miles an hour or so, capable of ping pong ball size hail, wind gust over 70 miles an hour. These are not looking tornadic at this time. They seem to be relatively outflow dominant, but certainly capable of producing wind-driven hail and some localized flooding. We saw that with this slow-moving storm back near Morton earlier. When we had probably 3 to 4 inches of rain in about an hour. Most roads were flooded. If you were watching Stephen Jones's live feed, you saw that. He actually had to wait north of Morton for quite a while for floodwaters to recede off most of the roadways. So again, the only tornado warning we have at this point, and I frankly don't expect many more of these this evening, will be about 6 miles northwest of the city of Levelland, moving east at about 20 miles an hour. This thunderstorm is capable of producing nasty size hail. As you can see, the radar algorithm is suggesting this storm might be producing hail larger than the size of a baseball. Whether or not that's happening or not, hopefully no one has to find out, given the fact we don't want folks having hail damage. Most of this storm is going to stay north of the city of Levelland, it looks like. We're going to watch his little tail down here just coming on into the northwest city sides of the city of Levelland, just in case we have a little spin-up tornado try to occur. But it looks like the strongest circulation, again, is going to be about, there's honestly a couple little spin-ups trying to happen here, but one about 3 miles northwest of Levelland, a second, stronger circulation wrapped up in rain about 7 miles northwest of Levelland, moving east towards Highway 385. This will be staying south of Witherall and mostly north of Highway 114 for now. It looks like this thing was moving southeast for about 30 minutes and now has turned back almost due east. And we note it's starting to accelerate a bit, which is problematic, not because of a tornadic potential, but because of where this may end up in about an hour to hour and a half. We note if this thing keeps moving due east at 20 miles an hour, it's going to be knocking on the west side of Lubbock's doorstep at about 10:30 p.m. And this thing's definitely got hail with, and a lot of hail at that. So we'll have to hope this thing weakens over the next hour. But if it doesn't, those of you from Smear to Shallow Water to the city of Lubbock, y'all might have a problem in terms of wind-driven hail in about an hour, hour and a half. And the time now is 9:11 p.m. Central Time. Switch back over to the which way the winds blow mode. Watching that little baby circulation a couple miles northwest of Levelland. You can see on the latest scan that definitely has become less convergent and more divergent, meaning more of a outflowy type wind signature, but we're still getting reports of some funnel clouds in the area with this thunderstorm. It's definitely attempting to become more outflow dominant, it appears, but we're also undergoing some sort of a metamorphosis in terms of the thunderstorm structure itself. So this storm, while it may not have a tornado down, is definitely possibly producing nasty hail that can damage quite a bit, along with wind or thunderstorm-driven outflow winds over 70 miles an hour. While we're sitting here real quick, that green line there, that's your flash flood warning, should have a little a little black box around it. It does not, and that's annoying me, so I'm going to try to fix that. Be a large. There we go. We got that fixed at least. Sorry, it was bugging me. So again, we've got a thunderstorm capable of producing wind-driven hail and possibly a tornado near the city of Levelland up Highway 385 all the way almost to Witherall. Moving east at about 25 miles an hour. So this is starting to speed up a bit. And again, I am concerned this is starting to make its way towards a higher population center, like Smear over to Lubbock over the next hour to hour and a half. So as we take a look at the which way the wind's blowing mode, definitely not your typical tornadic look. What I think we're starting to have occur is a transition towards an outflow-dominant thunderstorm, which would reduce the threat for tornadoes, but continue a threat for some wind-driven large hail and damaging straight-line winds, obviously, and the potential for very heavy rainfall. In fact, we have a very strong indication of nasty hail falling on Highway 385, probably 7 to 10 miles north of Levelland at this time, but we could have hail in the north sides of Levelland right now, all the way up to near Witherall. I'll switch to a different product y'all are not used to seeing. This is a product that allows us to see where we may have some larger hail falling. I'm not going to take the time to explain it necessarily right now, but I am going to just highlight the area where the radar seems to indicate the largest hailstones are falling. We'll switch back over to the how hard it's raining mode. And yeah, you can see that. So that generally seems to be where we have the largest concentration of potentially giant hailstones falling out of this thunderstorm, with some perhaps smaller but more numerous smaller hailstones down towards the city of Loveland. And again, radar is estimating this storm has softball-size hail right now. Whether or not that's what we have is not up to me to say. It's for those who are under it to say, and we haven't had recent reports, but there is definitely the potential this thing's dropping softball-size hail right now, which is just not ideal for anyone, anything. It's not good for anything. We've got a storm coming up towards the city of Dimmitt. Potential for golf ball size hail, it looks like. Wind gusts over 70 miles per hour with this thunderstorm. That'll be moving across 385 up towards Dimmitt. Eventually on east to Nazareth on Highway 86. Not missing any severe weather up in the Texas Panhandle. No severe weather in the Concho Valley, Central Texas, North Texas. We do have severe weather ongoing across portions of South Texas, moving towards the Rio Grande Valley. A relatively large cluster of thunderstorms capable of producing wind-driven hail, very heavy rainfall. Pretty good rear inflow jet there, well southeast of Zapata. And this complex of storms is generally now moving, I'd say it's going to probably start turning more east or southeast at about 25 miles an hour over the next hour or so. So we'll keep an eye on that down in deep South Texas. That could be something that persists well into the evening. And then we have this nasty thunderstorm capable of producing softball-sized hail and wind gust over 70 miles an hour. Oh, and the potential for a brief rain-wrapped tornado. Just now northeast of the city of Levelland. If we have something that might be one location, maybe 2 miles north of Levelland on 385 right now, and maybe a little rain-wrapped circulation about 6 miles northwest of Levelland, coming up on Highway 385. Note the very nasty hail signature with this thunderstorm as it continues moving east and accelerating now at about 25 miles an hour. We do note, should it continue on its present trajectory, those of you in Smear, Wolforth, even the city of Lubbock, you might have a problem with this thunderstorm in about an hour to an hour 20 minutes. So 10:15 to 10:45 p.m. as this storm continues on its present track, the potential for a damaging hailstorm for folks in Smear to Wolforth to Lubbock. Severe thunderstorm warning now for portions of Bailey, Palmer, and Lamb counties in West Texas. This is going to be until 10 o'clock. Severe storms located along a line extending from 3 miles northeast of Rayo to 3 miles west of Oklahoma Lane to 6 miles east of Arch. These storms are moving east at about 40 miles an hour. The potential for wind-driven hail up to 70 mile an hour wind gusts, maybe some nickel to ping-pong ball size hail. So that's going to impact a lot of places from Friona to Bovina to Farwell to Muleshoe. And eventually, if this continues, it may impact Dimmitt again in about an hour and 30 minutes, with the time now being 9:17 p.m. on the 23rd of May, 2022. This green box, that is a flash flood warning. We had a couple inches of rain at least fall over a short period of time with this thunderstorm earlier, back west towards Morin. This flash flood warning continues from Morin to Littlefield to just north of Levelland, and the severe storm itself is now moving towards the southwest sides of Lubbock over the next 1 hour. So once we get this storm east of Levelland, what we're going to do is take another break and regroup. We'll keep an eye on things, and we'll be back with another update by 9:45 p.m. But we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on this thunderstorm that's now just northeast of Levelland, making its way towards west sides of Lubbock, Smear, Wolforth, and maybe even Lubbock within the next 60 to 70 minutes, which would be about 10:15 to 10:30 p.m. Central Time. So you can keep an eye on this guy with the Texas Storm Chasers Interactive Weather Radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, or just download our free mobile app. You can watch our live storm chasing video and coverage in our app as well. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching on that, hit the subscribe button and the bell. We'll be back by 9:45 p.m. with another severe weather update, or sooner if necessary. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. Thanks for joining us this evening.